and welcome to the AEW Dynamite review. We are the Dadley Boyz of WhatCulture. I'm Adam Wilborn, joined by Michael Hamflett and Michael Sidgwick, here to review everything that happened on last night's episode of AEW Dynamite. But before we get into it, if you're a fan of this sort of thing, make sure you subscribe to WhatCulture Wrestling on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Amazon Music, and YouTube. Where we do daily wrestling podcasts where we not only review AEW Dynamite, but also AEW Collision, Raw, SmackDown, the show formerly known as NXT 2.0. Pay-per-views, premium live events. We have interviews, roundtable discussions, and a round of the week complete with the bigger because, of course, on WrestleCulture. As I said, though, joined by Hamflett Sidgwick to review last night's Dynamite. No one was safe, Sidge.
A few of them were. You can't chin everyone, I guess, but...
At least not week one.
Not only were a lot of people safe, but a lot of wrestlers didn't seem to care much about this new era-defining force of nature that everyone must reckon with and or be disgusted by, you know? I tweeted October 3rd in the wake of the anniversary, and everyone was trying to do a tweet capturing their feelings about AEW and all the rest of it. I wrote, AEW Dynamite, a mostly very good weekly show elevated by transcendent moments, promoted by a company that I'd like to see change and improve in at least 50 different ways. Here's to more of the paradox. Same as it ever was. Same as it ever was. I'm going to try and be succinct here because I've got the feeling that I'm going to talk a lot throughout this podcast, but the reason why I talk so extensively and lovingly about February 2020, if you go match by match on those cards, even though like genuinely the in-ring was really starting to just get great, it's not just because the in-ring was great, the promos and the angles, and it was a trifecta every week. I just loved being in that world. It was a world that I loved to go into, to live inside, to reside in, that I didn't want to go away for another week. It sounds ridiculous because I don't pick on them because I'm glad that they're finally doing something with them, and I've been campaigning for it for years, but I'm just using this as an example to illustrate a point. I almost enjoyed, and I know this is weird, I almost enjoyed backing someone like Sammy Guevara as a heel than I did Konosuke Takeshita in February 2020 versus, October 2024, because before every mistake was made, before they signed too many wrestlers, introduced too many championships, frittered away all of the values of finishes and tone and all the rest of it, it just felt like when you watched Darby Allin versus Sammy Guevara at Revolution 2020, well, that's Revolution 2022's main event.
Yes.
And that feeling was palpable, and it was so easy to believe in, and the rankings was a framework with which to sort of facilitate that ascent up the card. The problem now, because every mistake has been made, they've signed everybody, like a total lack of quality control, is that there are different worlds in one promotion. There are, in fact, 3 promotions in one promotion in AEW right now. And I see something like the new Blackpool Combat Club into the execution, if not the concept, which I'll get into. Mm-hmm. And then there's a world where I'd rather be in the promotion, because there's loads of promotions within AEW, and that's been a problem for some time. I'd rather watch the promotion where the Hurt Syndicate, who I'm kind of falling in love with, are just the absolute... They're at the absolute top. They are the apex predators. They are the big bads. They are the stable that everyone else needs to worry about, and they're going to dominate the world title. Not, a synonym of world like international or give them the continental, or, it's just... That's the world I want to be in, but the problem is that there's never just one world in AEW. It's just everything for everyone, and it's a fundamentally flawed thing. Again, though, that tweet, very good show, elevated by transcendent moments. You could use that to describe this episode, even if I was lower on it than consensus, I think. There were some very good moments, a transcendent moment that took me it took me completely aback. And there's just a load of other worlds that you have to wade through because there's too much to accommodate.
Yeah, there's so much of the Blackpool Combat Club stuff on this show. Probably a good thing for what they're trying to get across.
Absolutely, yeah.
But my main take on the show is about that. So probably easy to do this at the top rather than when we get into all the individual segments where there'll just be less to add to it. But I'm probably with Sidge on being a bit lower on the bigger picture, even if I liked visually how it all looked and the general vibe that they tried to curate with the Blackpool Combat Club attacks. I think that's good stuff as far as entertaining pro wrestling TV goes. If it's not what I like, it certainly resembles stuff that I like out of my wrestling show. And it lends itself to a bunch of stuff that helps you when you're doing episodic churn. And that's, I don't mean that's a bad thing. Like, you need things to kind of keep the wheels turning while you tell the bigger stories. My problem with it, and I already felt it last night, and Sidge alluded to it there with praising the Hurt Syndicate, was they have tried, I think, with the Blackpool Combat Club to create the feeling that something like an NWO, early days NWO did, with basically police officers with guns and a bunch of WCW wrestlers, because three men weren't just running roughshod over a bunch of wrestlers. They were kind of tearing up the fabric of kind of what stitched this whole show together.
They couldn't get the broadcast going half the time.
Yeah.
Or in fact, every week it was like, you know.
What now?
Yeah.
Now this is a living nightmare. And that's a very hard, talk about chaos and manufactured chaos, so hard to curate, and they did a good job of it last night.
They did.
I think I really want to praise AEW for that and how that felt, at least. However, whilst that was happening in WCW, pretty quickly, the likes of the Dungeon of Doom and, like, dare I say it, even then, the Horsemen and other stables of that ilk kind of had no choice but to either unify or dissolve, because it's like, well, how big is this bigger picture? And how much does all of a sudden the alliance to end Hulkamania with Kevin Sullivan and his monsters and Big Bubba and whatever and Shark, how credible do they suddenly look when this is occurring, you know? The Hurt Syndicate are a super credible act instantly. I feel great about them. I get excited for anybody that's getting given that card or getting given that nod of MVP, because it feels fresh. It feels like an advancement.
It's everything MVP said it could be already.
Yeah.
It is making good on the promise of the Hurt business that was never delivered by WWE, which, again, you can listen to us cover extensively, because people look at those Twitter pictures and think they were a good stable. They weren't, but my God, the promise was there. Already, the promise feels like it's being established as actually being seen through this time. But in doing so, something's got to give. You then have to negate the power of the Hurt Syndicate or negate the power of the BCC. Then you have a re-established and a refocused Don Callis family as a similar...
When they came out, I was like, oh, not another one?
Yeah, like, who have roughly the same modus operandi now that they've been kind of rebadged, and Takesha's got a belt, and Ospreay's been done with, and Kyle Fletcher's a new hit. You know, like, I'm not saying they're all the same, but it's the same type of energy, and they will collide into one another. The Elite, I think they've tried to square that off quite nicely, and it's absolutely how the Elite would behave, to just kind of, now, like, it's not having anything to do with that. But what are they, if not power players within a company that is having its power challenged? So again, I think you can apply reasonably, in good faith, I think you can apply the Elite to that. It could be the worst possible time, when you look at it like that, to try and do a thing like this. But I'm contradicting myself. I kind of see them want to try, because you might as well. I think it's very easy to be kind of like, it's a bit like a fireworks factory thing, this. I think it's quite easy to be hypnotized by the potential excitement of all of this without getting back under the hood and seeing if really this is all set up to support it. I'm not convinced after this Dynamite that it is. There's a significant, if AEW was better, this wouldn't be a problem moment later on in the show, which we're going to get to, as relates to this BCC. And like night one, I'm already kind of thinking, man, if this was February 2020, this goes, and this goes all the way, brother. This is the heel Elite in 2021. This is magic. But can this AEW support this story? I'm not
convinced. No.
I got very excited last night when I saw Matt Reigns' tweet with the Kenny Omega 1 kick out at Revolution. Oh my God. Go back and watch it. It's that time of year.
I got very excited when he was referenced.
Me too.
Yes.
Yeah. Me too.
Ruin a good cake. Anyway, right, let's start at the beginning of the show. We see footage of the BCC leaving Wrestle Dream after Jon Moxley obviously won the world title. He's sitting in the back of a truck and what have you, saying he's taking the blame for what happened at Wrestle Dream. People think they know what motivates him. They know nothing. He had a dream about a land of opportunity. Wrestling gave him an opportunity, and that's what he wants for 150-odd other wrestlers under contract in AEW. He says he hates what AEW has become. Egos out of control, dancing and partying when there's no need for it. He will burn down the forest to build a new one. They will do what needs to be done in order for there to be a better future. If you don't want to come with us, fine, but run while you can or get out of the way. What's the new paradigm? It's simple. You work for me now. And there's just a shot of Wheeler Yuta. I liked the... It's still technically slightly cryptic, but the more sort of direct wordage of this. Wording?
Wording.
Wordage and verbiage, yes.
Yes.
No higher power anymore. That's done.
Yeah, that's done. No. Yet again, this sort of encapsulates my broad feelings on the entire act. Execution and delivery, like magic, like really, really strong, unsettling, very much striking the tone, and it's an ambitious one that they are attempting, and yet conceptually, I'm just not a fan. I am just not a fan of the premise. This stuff never works. Like, I don't like being told the promotion is bad, because ultimately they're trying to spin it, and I guess it's a decent crack at it by saying there's a lot of wrestlers here who haven't seized the opportunity. They've floundered. The promotion, as a result, has floundered, and I'm here to make it good again. He's sort of talking about it on a results form progression of the talent, hence why he's gone after Private Party, who are a good sort of example of what Moxley's been talking about. But it's the booker's fault for the wayward direction, you know?
Yeah,
you're basically saying that we've booked it badly, that he can dress it up or try and fictionalize it, but the ultimate thing is Tony Khan has kind of fumbled the direction of the company and everything else.
I should say, yeah, this was interspersed with shots of your Orange Cassidy's, your Garcia's reacting to what happened at Wrestle
indeed.
Dream.
Who aren't reflective of that, and that makes him a heel, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Because he's targeting this vitriol at the wrong people.
Yeah.
Baby faces we actually like.
Yeah.
I have tried.
Yeah, that's where that's the character trait thing, I think.
Yeah, I get what they're doing with it, but I don't want to be reminded that it sucked. Because then you get reminded that it sucked, and then because you've been reminded that it hasn't been great for going on 18 months, you just question instantly, amid the promise of change, can it? Can it? So, I don't know, it just feels like they're cutting their own balls off every time with this. And it becomes apparent later as well.
He's got I still love Sidge's point about the quality of this in places. He's still got a Moxley of old line every week, hasn't he? The visual of burning down a forest to build a new one. It's simultaneously this incredibly powerful image that sticks with you, and also something fatally flawed.
Yeah.
You know, we need to do to fix deforestation, burn it all down ourselves, get there first. That doesn't work. And he's a heel, so you can say that, but it's very powerful in your mind as what's driving him. So he's got that. Moxley is back.
He's back.
The venom with which he says, I hate what AEW's become.
Body's amazing.
It's
been bastardized, but his aura is amazing.
Yes.
It is interesting that you can buy this, isn't it?
Yeah.
Feels credible.
Marina Shafir looks awesome next to him as well.
Yeah, no, it's done wonders for her.
Anyway, as we go to the show, and Adam Cole comes out to open it, gets a huge reaction, of course, and says, "Who's ready for start time, Adam Cole, baby?" And we all are. And he said he's told Roderick Strong and the Kingdom he has to do this on his own. He's damn proud to be back in the ring, but he doesn't think people want to hear about that. They want to hear about the worst human being in the world. And then for some reason he turns his attention to MJF. He said, life is filled with good versus evil. And he's learned during his time off that sometimes you have to battle evil with evil. MJF will tell you that Adam Cole broke a promise or trust, but without trust, there's no foundation. Adam Cole might be a lot of things, but stupid isn't one of them. Anyone who thinks you can trust MJF is stupid.
He was the devil.
Trying to get through this. The MJF we see right now is the real MJF, who has terrorized AEW for 5 years despite saying that he cares about them. If Cole could describe MJF in one word, it's fake. He references the hair surgery, brash attitude. He's a scared little boy, though. He says, why don't you all go and trash him on social media? He act like he doesn't care, but he'll be crying in his hotel room. He says, MJF's a phony faker who can't be trusted. Everyone in the back agrees with him. AEW has the best wrestlers in the world, and the guys will be the future, making the best company in the world. It makes Cole sick to his stomach, JR, that these young... as I was watching this, I was popping at home. These young guys look at MJF and think that's the path to success, despite it being a path of failure and loneliness. He says, with every fiber of his being, everyone hates MJF, so let's not waste any more time. He calls out MJF, brochacho, and music plays, but MJF doesn't come out. Instead, he appears on a screen. He's drinking wine by a fireplace, talking about his career, becoming a multimillionaire. He says there's a lot of jackals in pro wrestling when you're at the top, so they can chew you up and spit you out. And he said he'd never trust anyone like that until Adam Cole came into his life. But Cole stabbed him in the back and left a void that will mean that MJF will never trust again. It's not MJF's fault he's like this. It's Cole's. And he knows Cole wants revenge, but that is never, ever going to happen. He'll keep dangling that carrot, leaving Cole with a void. For that sad and lonely life, you can thank Max later. And it cuts back to Cole, and Cole says, MJF, you can run, but you can't hide. When I get my hands on you, you're getting the ass beat of a lifetime, and you're going to wish we never met.
I mean, it makes no sense. Suboptimally, for this segment of TV, you kind of have to suspend your disbelief, right? And that's what you have to do for pro wrestling in general.
Yes.
It is absolutely impossible, given the way that absolutely deranged and yet now obligatory way that this storyline has played out and must play out to its conclusion. You cannot take a word either of them are saying. Seriously, you just can't. You cannot square the circle. You simply cannot. I didn't envy either of them in this position.
No, they were really trying here.
Although, as I've spoke, I thought Adam Cole's delivery was great. Capital G, great. Absolutely wonderful promo delivery. MGF, I mean, you just always get that with him.
Testable sat there with his wine.
To be honest, I like it when he's a little bit more mid to late 80s flair. I like him when he's like high as hell on his own brand of charisma. Like, I like that more than Sinister MJF, truly. And I think we'll get to it. Which is an incredible comparison to just throw out, but it's no less true.
My brain always goes to, I love video games. Video games. And then I lost my virginity. I love that.
I just liked it as well when he used to go, here's my impression of all of your mothers, Boston. Harder. He got that. And it should be impossible to replicate, but he managed it once upon a time. Of that flair, just I love being MJF energy.
And you could time it out as well, couldn't he? Brilliant.
Oh yeah,
it was always like, right, here's the week where it's going to get pretty dark.
Yeah,
like every time.
I prefer that brand of charisma to the sinister thing that he's trying to do. But nonetheless, within this role, he's still excellent. They had a match on Dynamite before the Wembley match, in which MJF played heel and Adam Cole played babyface, and it was fantastic. And we're probably going to see it at Full Gear, and I expect it to be fantastic. But, I mean, the storyline's deranged, and they can't possibly make sense of it, so I'd like them to not try in verbal segments until the destination, because, I mean, they just can't. They can't do it.
Yeah, it's, again, like, so the MJF, you'll never fight me. It's not the worst avenue to take, because what you're trying to do is obviously create a thirst for the fans to have this again. And that is in itself acknowledging that people will be watching this who are fairly plugged in going, this doesn't scan, does it? So the idea from MJF here is, well, and Adam Cole and whoever's involved creatively, is just make you want it again. So that's the challenge.
Yes.
But it does feel like they're constantly wading through treacle until the story is over, doing it out of necessity. And then I think they, as much as every fan, will probably just want to move on. And again, just a little bit on the point I made at the start of the podcast, the Undisputed Kingdom, as led by the devil, as Sidge points out, you either have to keep them as yet another stable that are like the dark heart inside AEW, or, as Adam Cole was, out of the way, you.
Yeah.
Like, you either have to bury them completely or have them as just as serious a threat as like the BCC. It's
a mess.
It's not.
There's a lot of messes in AEW, and this is
pretty big flaws that could really undermine this all-encompassing, company-wide change in direction program here.
Not only could I not take Adam Cole's words seriously, as fantastically delivered as they were, why does it feel like it's verboten to mention Bryan Danielson's name? You know what I mean? Every single babyface. If this is this all-consuming, like, unconscionable transgression that has happened at the end of Wrestle Dream, every babyface really should have had a line here and there to say that was disgusting. And I don't know if you're my target, if I'm your target, but we'll see one day about this. And I kind of get it, because to a degree, because there's a certain promoter's mentality. I know Vince had this, but guess what? You don't have to do what that moron did all the time. His thing was, don't even allude to a match that might happen, because if it doesn't, the fandom will be pissed off.
Yeah.
I would like to think AEW's fan base, or at least a lot of them, are way more sophisticated than that. And I wouldn't instantly go, right, well, it's Adam Cole versus John Moxley at Full Gear, and I'd be disappointed if it isn't. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, I just wouldn't have that. I would just think,
be queuing up to say, I want to fight him. I'll fight for that. Yeah.
I would just think,
It's world building stuff.
It's a world building stuff, and these characters have interior lives, and they're not just have this really binary, synthetic focus on one thing. But I thought that was what AEW was trying to do originally, but evidently not.
I think
it was just so weird how he's almost persona non grata. Can't say his name, but why not?
Yeah, I think back then they would be able
sell
to
the transgression.
You would mention those wrestlers or those stories that were connected. You were connected to because the company had a plan to eventually put these things together, and we were permitted, if not to get excited about a match at the next pay-per-view, but to think about it. So then the match would come around on Dynamite and be like, well, you remember when so-and-so mentioned this? Because they've lost control of that arm creatively, they probably no longer want to take the risk.
Yeah.
And that's a shame, because it does keep the booking honest, doesn't it?
Keeps the booking honest, and it's just like, again, this should have been sold throughout the show as a much bigger deal. Much bigger deal.
I was just so conflicted by this because I love both the individuals involved in Cole and MJF, obviously. And like you say, I'm going to enjoy the build to Full Gear, and I'm no doubt going to enjoy that match at Full Gear. But there's also a part of me, like you say, it's just so difficult to sell this, that wants to get to December 2024 so we can go, right, they've done that, right, they go off in these directions. And then subsequent to that, you can say, whenever they interact, well, those two have got bloody history, haven't they?
Yeah.
Like, yeah, it's just
they can't do it. They have to do it, and they can't do it.
Yeah.
They can't do it, but they have to do it.
Renee Paquette's backstage with Chris Jericho. He's saying he felt vindicated with his match against Mark Briscoe. He accused him of cheating. He said he's in the #1 movie in America. Fozzie's on tour. He's going to become a champ, but Briscoe cheated. He wants a rematch. He wants to become a 2-time ROH World Champion, just like Jay Briscoe. And that obviously cuts to Mark Briscoe, who says, like, I know he said a lot of dumb stuff, and normally I can just let that go in one ear and out the other and move on. But he's brought up Jay again. You're going to pay. I accept. Let's have a match. Next week, a ladder war for the ROH World title. And then he refocuses on his mates. FTR walk in. Dax, unfortunately, doesn't still have a blonde mustache, which is a shame. I was hoping for that, but that sets up FTR versus Big Bill and Bryan Keith, which came next.
Yeah, I mean, I'll just skip this personally and talk about the match that they're having next week on the preview, I guess.
Yeah, I don't think it's good, though. That already made a shortcut out of a thing that you were going to say for a big moment. Jericho got it, had the match, and now it's become the, say it again, the title shot.
Yeah.
I'm Mark Briscoe. I'm not dumb. And you were kind of dumb.
But yeah, we got FTR versus Big Bill and Bryan Keith. Obviously, wonderful to see them doing this for such a wonderful cause. The Hurricane Helene relief victims, all the stuff being promoted during it. You had the Bad Apple, Bryan Keith starting off with Deputy Dex, and then Wheeler and Bill tag in. Obviously, Bill's size means he takes over, but Wheeler gets out of a snake eyes, drop kicks him. But Bill manages to hit a big boss man slam to gain control as we go to a break. We come back. Harwood makes the hot tag, nails Bryan Keith with a short arm lariat. Not Big Bill, though. He drops him. Harwood fights out of a powerbomb. Wheeler flies in off the top with a crossbody. But Big Bill just says, you're not doing shout machine to me, boys. And hits a powerbomb on Harwood and launches Cash over the top. Keith comes in. They hit the Diamond Dust into a Big Bill boot for a nice 2. Wheeler hits a Tornado DDT off the apron outside on Bill. Double drop downs from FTR. They hit the Shatter Machine on Bryan Keith and get the 1, 2, 3. I think either during this or immediately afterwards, we see Rouge Strelistico and Beast Mortos in a collared shirt.
Oh my God.
Watching backstage. The Outrunners come out to a huge pep, quite rightly, and they do the Predator double handshake to celebrate with the winners, FTR.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not just going easy on Deputy Dex, who was out of his jurisdiction on Collision by being on Dynamite, because, you know, this was like wrestled and worked for like an incredibly noble cause. This was everything that this is the opposite of everything I've grown to kind of resent about FTR, in that it didn't feel grabby. It didn't feel like they were doing like a million near falls and twists when they professed to be old school wrestlers, and that sort of, what's the word I'm looking for? There's a word and it's escaped me, but that feeling of one thing not fitting with the other, feeling a bit cynical, a bit hypocritical, not remotely in the fabric of this match whatsoever. It's a very easy shorthand for me to say, oh, this is good because it reminded me of Brett. But this was Dax and Cash realizing, oh, look at the size of him, we can't do out. And then in a very, very compact, lean, logical, lovely little TV match, they just chopped down the tree. And the tree happened to be hilarious, as he always is. I just had a great time with this. It just, everything happened in the correct order. They didn't strive for this constant wave upon wave of near-fall driven drama. They just had a lovely, compact, strategic match. And Big Bill was just totally patter throughout. I had a really good time with this.
Lovely and logical, as you tiptoe towards alliteration there, would be perfect for me as a genre of maybe my favourite kind of wrestling to watch at the moment. Like, this was what I loved about Jay White and Hangman Page, albeit the stakes felt higher because it was a big pay-per-view singles match featuring potential main eventers. But really, the guts of it could be found here as well. I want more matches where I can be completely locked into the isolated story being told bell to bell.
How are they trying to win?
How are they trying to win from the wrestlers I am watching, not any wrestler you wanted to supplant in that ring? I think this might be what I'm after more than anything else in 2024. This was, maybe it was helped by the fact that there was a noble cause and there was a nice air to all of this because of what we were watching and why it was taking place. And it does give you a bit of a, like, oh, you can have a free pass here to do whatever you want. But regardless, it was just, at no point betrayed what at its root all of this is supposed to be about. We talked yesterday about FTR's chemistry with Big Bill, and they know how to work with him. I loved getting to see Big Bill. Like, he is, we talk about Brett, he is in the shadow of Chris Jericho. And that's not the usual Chris Jericho dig. That is I'm not getting enough Big Bill. I'm not. Like, it's not terrible booking because he's profiled, but it's not great booking that he's reduced in status next to a Chris Jericho because he was brilliant here. Big Bill is such a valuable member of this roster because you can beat him, but you can get him over the next week as a giant that nobody can touch. He's patter. Like, this was so great.
He delights me no end.
Yeah.
Renee Paquette's backstage with the Acclaimed and Daddy Ass, who say after beating MXM Collection, they're going to the gym. They're body guys. Gunn leaves to go and get the car. Billy Gunn, that is. And Bowen says, everyone loves the Acclaimed. Caster says they're coming off another pay-per-view win, but they want more. And then MVP walks in with Shelton Benjamin and hands him his card and tells him to give him a call when they get serious. Bowens doesn't want anything to do with him, but Matt Caster does pocket the card, so we'll see how that goes.
The whiplash of emotion I got watching this segment was absolutely insane. I watched it, saw, oh God, it's the Acclaimed. Everybody loves the Acclaimed. Not me, Doug. I was like, oh God, what are they building next? I can't be arsed. Daddy Ass just standing so close to the center of the frame. I'm like, piss off. Could you be any closer to the middle, even though there's 4 people on my screen? And he fucking walks off before he can get mugged off by MVP. Do you notice this? He's such a politically transparent animal, Daddy Ass Billy Gunn.
I'm not trying to be generous here.
Okay.
Was that not a narrative choice because MVP wants them, he doesn't want him? So he's waiting for him to leave the shot, and he gives Billy Gunn didn't get a card. If you're joining the Hurts, you're kicking his ass. Like, that's what that is, right?
I don't know. It just seemed to me like
I thought that was a narrative convenience because MVP doesn't want Billy Gunn. Like,
I mean, I saw the Jay White match. I've seen everything he's done. I cannot give the bloke the benefit of the doubt. It just seemed very, like, I've seen the 3.1 kickouts. It's getting to be a joke at this point. It just struck me as, yeah, you just didn't want to be, because the whole idea here was the Acclaimed got clowned by MVP. I said it in the intro. I'm going to probably say this about 5 more times or 10 more times if this continues to unfold in this brilliant direction against anything I might have thought. I love being wrong because I'm cynical most of the time. And when I'm wrong, it means I'm happy. This Hurt Business, I couldn't have been more. No, actually, they suck. They're not very good. They look the business, but they don't do anything entertaining storyline-wise. how many times we've seen it with Mustafa Ali, we've seen it with virtually every wrestler who's been released from WWE or opted not to re-sign with WWE over the past 5 years. And it's a marketing tactic. Of course they're going to say this, but how many times have you heard something along the lines of, they never booked me right. They never booked me right. They never maximized my value. I could have been so much more if they'd just done what I wanted or whatever. MVP was adamant that the Hurt Business could be the best faction in all of wrestling, and it was promotional malpractice on WWE's part to do so little with them. On this evidence, he could not be more right. His f***ing face during this segment was incredible. That smug, they just don't know who they are messing with. Who are these clowns to not immediately accept this offer? Look at all of these. They've got no idea. His face is amazing. MVP's the revelation of the year.
He's great, isn't
and
he?
He's done something like all of 4 times.
He's handed some people some cards, basically.
And you know what? There's one thing, as amazing as he's been, his promos, facial expressions, his presence, never once think he's gobbling everybody up.
No.
Or scooping up Shelton Benjamin's heat. He gets the balance of being a manager to utter perfection.
He is, at the moment, an inadvertent guardian angel to those, like, to the likes of us that want a bit of change in AEW and the feeling that, like, a lot of these characters are donezo. Like, Mercedes Moné getting the card gave you the same feeling as, like, the Acclaim getting it here. Even
It's Hurt Syndicate dust.
Yeah, it's Hurt Syndicate dust.
It's
You're
Hurt Syndicate dust.
Characters that feel like they're going nowhere, and then he gives them a card, and you're like, right, I'm Lenny then. I'll lean in on this one. Like, Max Caster took the card, right? Now, that could be a red herring, and it could be that Bowens turns on Max Caster because he saw him take the card, or Max Caster has been saying, I'm the greatest wrestler in the world. Like, he joins the Hurt Syndicate, and then he turns on Max Caster, and they beat up Billy Gunn, whatever. However this plays out, to go back to my original point, like, right now off this Dynamite, John Moxley said, you work for me now. Whose recruitment drive are you more interested in? Because I'm picking the Hurt Syndicate over the BCC.
Yeah.
Do you see what I mean? Like,
that's the problem with the different worlds, the different promotions within the one promotion.
I was sat here.
You constantly asked, sorry, I know I'm stepping on your dick.
Sorry?
I'll just forget these things. That's why I do it. I try not to be rude. You've been, for the past 3 years, with every hot news signing, forced in a constant exercise in comparison and contrast. Oh, Wardlow's not doing great with the TNT title in week 3. Well, look at Takeshita. He's amazing. I'd like to see him in that mix. That's the problem with signing too many wrestlers, and you've articulated it again.
I've given them a pass on the Billy Gunn thing that you've, like, potentially been correct in criticising.
We'll see.
Because
I will do this.
But it's partly because I'm fantasy booking. I'm engaged in, like, he's taking the card. And I don't really like the Acclaimed anymore. This is a creative direction I want to look at. And it's all rooted in MVP as Hurt Syndicate dust as a potential. Let me pick up 6 broken acts with the potential of one great stable in your head is right now a bit more captivating than the one you're being shown as the one that are running roughshod on the company.
I am more interested in a tiny piece of cardboard than I am hunks of gold around the waist of some of these wrestlers.
Very true. Sorry, I must have messed my notes up here because I've got a women's match in the first hour. TBS title on the line. It was. I've never heard that noise out of you before. Add that to the soundboard. It was Queen Aminata challenging Mercedes.
Moné.
Feigned shock.wav.
Yeah. Camille's out there distracting Aminata from the start. Moné tried a springboard arm drag. Aminata put on the brakes and then just mocked her, which was nice. Aminata also caught a crossbody into a fall-away slam. Really like Aminata. Yeah. But Camille saves Mercedes from a baseball slide. So Aminata just headbutted her. But that allows Moné to...
That headbutt looked awesome.
Yeah.
Awesome.
To slam Queen Aminata into the steps and hit a Meteora as we go to break. She's in control during the break. When we come back, Aminata does a comeback. A rolling air raid crash gets 2. She almost hits a code red. And there's a violent swinging fisherman's neck breaker. Fisherman's neck breaker.
What a vish. Are they rich in protein?
And you need more vision, you die. That's what you need. Aminata does a rolling cradle for another near fall, but takes too long, and Mercedes hits a huge meteora out of the corner, a backstabber, and the statement maker gets the submission win.
Right. This was a much, much, much better version of the AEW Mercedes Moné match, but I still think it was the AEW Mercedes Moné match. Does that make any sense?
Yes.
Wherein there was some excellent bits of pro wrestling here. Like everything on the mat looked pretty great. Mercedes Moné did a great job of just selling. My head has been rocked by this really stiff, powerful offense from this total powerhouse of an opponent. And you think, as good as this feels and as good as this is, they're still good, and then just great is above it, and then an anticlimactic finish. This is the Mercedes Moné TV formula of not as good as I thought it was going to be, and then the finish happened. This is better because it was pretty damn great, or pretty damn close to great rather. And I'm just feeling like they've got. I always feel like she's got a much better match in her. This was a close version of their best, but it's AEW, it's Dynamite. The standard is, oh God, this was awesome. Or it used to be. I just always am left wanting a bit more, despite the fact that I think they explored. Again, really good matchmaking from Tony Khan. He's still got that dog in him. Really good matchmaking, but the execution was just a little bit lesser than.
Yeah.
I don't know if she's getting closer or if Aminata is just awesome and it's impossible to not do something really cool with her. I didn't inspire. It wasn't this match that was a big response to the critics where I thought, oh, Christ, that was awesome. And she's back and the next one's going to be just as good. But it was close to that.
It's like a third best match in AEW.
Which isn't saying much, but I did have a really good time with this.
Yeah, I want to believe that Mercedes Moné can unlock whatever it is she's still got to offer in this run.
It's just another gear in it.
Yeah. But match again, I was saying it yesterday, she is ultimately kind of being defeated by the thing she needs the most, which is the reps, because the more bang average matches she stacks up, the more people consider a bang average, but she kind of needs to have the matches to find if there's that fire or that fastball, as you talk about. If that is still there, it's only by having these matches wrestled at an AEW TV pace or with an AEW pay-per-view standard opponent that we're going to see that. That's not a knock on who she was wrestling in WWE, by the way. It's just she took a significant amount of time off and has had an injury layout and is like working it. Layoff. We've seen it. Different. It's not pace, but like different. There is a different style to AEW's in-ring that does sometimes expose people initially. Yeah. Or like...
It's a standard, really.
It's like...
More than a style.
You can see it. We've maybe seen it in Ricochet's first couple. There's just an extra something. I like this. I think I was maybe a little bit higher than you two on it, but I was putting that down to the like obvious chemistry that we kind of knew was going to be exhibited. Like Aminata was a perfect opponent for her, but we have
doing stuff with Aminata.
But we have said that about Mercedes before, and not all the opponents have worked out perfectly. So I think the thing is, Mercedes Moné, it shouldn't be. I think she's a project, and you wouldn't have had her down as one of those signings. And I think she was a game changer who's going to come in. It's adjusting to the reality of what you've got with Mercedes Moné rather than maybe what you thought you were gonna. And I think that's kind of what we're all working through a little bit here. But I kind of want to see the project continue. I think you don't sacrifice someone of her obvious star power. It's just not there yet.
That was just the one women's match on the show, unfortunately, Sidge. So before we get to the name of the game, we have to get to the aim of the game.
The aim of the game is to identify to the hour, minute, and second the first time you hear the first note for the first entrance theme for the first woman to come out and compete for the only women's match on Dynamite. We play this game to underscore, italicize, and put in bold just this idea, this very cynical idea that AEW tends to only book these matches because they feel an obligation to do so, because after all, it's 2024, and what would the bloody woke say if we didn't do it? The fact that it continues to be one match every single week, last week being a rule-proving aberration exception as we thought it would be, just again reinforces to me that there's just not enough care, and it just feels like they want to get it out of the way before we get to the real main events, plural, now that we're in the AEW multiverse, if you like. And you're thinking, God, you're going on a tangent, and this is also a mouthful, Sidgwick. You don't just jingleize what you're talking about here. I sure can. I sure can jingleize what I perceive to be AEW's cynical thought process about women's wrestling. And that jingle is as follows. Don't worry, guys. When the women come out to play, the main events ain't too far away. That's the aim of the game. And the name of the game...
Events plural, I like that.
Because that's what it is. It's a multiverse.
Yeah.
And, I'm not beating yesterday for a while, so
Definitely
we're just
not.
going to go back in time. And the name of the game is, well, this is ladies' night, and I'm thinking, oh, what a night.
If you haven't heard the ladies' night from yesterday, the preview is well worth checking out for that. It was it was the best one you've done.
Thank you.
Sensational. Shout out, as always, to the Band of Blair himself, Adam Blair, at Adam Wilton 4, and Jose Palomares at the Ho 11. The guys who always take care of the...
Data.
Thanks. Somehow, Adam Blair has found a gif of Gollum saying, my dada, somehow.
Mate made it.
But, Sidge, do you want to run through our guesses in Ascendees?
Descending. It's not a bit. It's not a bit.
We don't know.
I don't know. Descending order. Michael Sidgwick, 1 hour, 4 minutes and 19 seconds. Michael Hamflett, 1 hour, 19 minutes, dead. Adam Wilborn, I don't know you from Adam. 1 hour, 16 minutes and 12 seconds. Who's the winner?
We are miles off,
Yeah.
as
still won,
Adam Blair says. But yes, Sidge gets the
The
win
old
this week.
count.
Wins the win, guys.
The old count.
Moving you on to 4 correct guesses for the year.
It's absolutely pathetic.
6 for Hamflet and 11 for me still.
Jesus Christ.
Running away with it.
Still plenty of time left.
I don't think there
Well,
is.
I don't think there is. Wrapped up by, like, you're going to be off for a couple of weeks.
I know, I'm going to take a few Wednesdays off just in case, just to really
so,
solidify.
like, yeah.
I can't do the Dynamite preview today, guys. I've got a meeting, so you just do it. It's fine.
Yeah, that's the reason you missed Dynamite coverage. That's it.
Oh my God, is that Private Party backstage with Renee Paquette? They've requested the Young Bucks to join them. And they mention how close they were to winning the titles. They want another shot. Matthew Jackson says they were wrong saying they were a mid-card act. They really pushed them to their limits. But that doesn't work for us, brother. That's their last tag title shots. The Bucks leave. Stokely Hathaway walks in and says, why do you deserve another shot? You've been here since the Obama administration. Next time you lose, you should be done. And everyone knows Mark Quenn's the star of the team anyway, and he walks off and says, if that's what it takes, that's what it takes.
The thing is, the Young Bucks are completely correct. We were beaten clean in the middle. Nearly isn't good enough. So close, but so far, it's the expression.
If you're not first, you're last.
Exactly. This is not the follow-up I wanted. I wanted, in the wake of Wrestle Dream, and like a really sort of over-delivery of a match, the atmosphere, this belief that started to swell around Private Party, following it up with them just asking for something that they don't deserve is not good babyface booking for me. And it's the first misstep of this story.
They did beat the Iron Savages.
Yeah, this is true. I noticed they came off entitled, and I don't know if this is any overlap with what Moxley's doing, but I wouldn't give it enough credit to say that. I want to start believing them. I want to start thinking that they've earned it, and just asking for it outright is Is it not?
Well,
it's
there's more later on the show that could.
Oh boy, yeah.
Private Party falling into a pretty big plot hole. And maybe they were working smart here because is the split a red herring? Like, is the potential split a red herring? They did that. They left a tease in after the match, didn't they? Where it looked as if for a second, like he was like, "I'm fucking sick of this," and then Stokely is the the straw that stirs a drink between them, possibly, but. I think I did want this bit more of a back to basics. A rematch has emerged. I wanted that. I wanted a winning
back to winning ways.
Winning
I mean,
ways
they're on Rampage, but they've got a really fierce challenge, though.
I don't know who they've got. So I'm fascinated by this.
I mean, if they get past this, then surely they've re-entered the conversation, and everything I've said's moot, and they're really going to be credible going forward. It's MXM Collective.
Yeah.
Who I don't hate.
No.
But come on.
Yeah. But the Elite are also backstage following this, all of them. Bucks, Okada, Jack Perry. They wanted to handle some business before they went out tonight. It's Kenny Omega's birthday.
Holy shit, was that a Kenny Omega reference?
I love that meme.
And
Really good, that
Yeah, I
one.
like it.
Jack Perry's detestable. He says, talks about Omega having 20 feet of his intestines removed after they laid him out. But they've got him a birthday cake. Look, lovely. Said, happy birthday, Kenny, on it. And then Perry dumped some intestines onto it. Okada says, happy birthday, bitch. And then Perry says, Kenny, no, in all seriousness, get well soon. Or die. Don't care. That was a nice line.
I like that line. I didn't like the, let's get some guts. A real showman. You know, it was Vincian.
Yeah.
It was like, just in case you don't get it, you thick f***ing we're going to put some guts on the cake. Dumbass. It's one of those where not only does it insults the intelligence of the viewer, right? To like lay it on so thick. I get it. The line itself was pretty unconscionable, like really disgusting thing to say. It's a hat on top of a hat on top of Vince McMahon's superfied brain to do this. And then it's because it's such a stupid idea that thinks the audience is stupid. It itself becomes stupid. Because did Jack Perry just go to the guts shop?
I was about to say that's what I was smiling about.
So
well, honey, you know, we got the dolls, we have the tomatoes, but for some reason I've changed our business.
We're not shifting all these guts.
I bought all this big bag of guts. You idiot!
So, you know, you go down to
Oh my God, it's the scapegoat.
you go down to the farmer's market, or you know whatever, and you know, you got
Full
like,
guts.
You go to in the UK, you got a high street. You know, you've got your supermarket, yeah, like your news agents, and then you got your baker and your butcher. And like go to the butcher, and you got your prime rib, you got your T-bones, you got your minced beef.
What did you have? Your cheek? You have an ox cheek?
Ox cheek and pig cheek. I like some guts. Okay. We tend to, you know, not really sell those. I'm trying to show him. Who's him? Kenny Omega.
It's my friend's birthday.
I need some intestines for a bit.
I was going to go to the gut shop and buy some guts.
We're saved again. What will you buy next?
Guts are us. And how much would you need, sir?
Oh, just one long intestine if you've got it.
You know what you could do? It's like, you know how like the new thing is now is you can sell your business if someone photographs it and you've got like a really clever title on like your window cleaners. Can you think of any off the top of my head, like, any example?
Amy's Winehouse.
Amy's Winehouse for like, you know, an off license where you can sell liquor and stuff. For the shop that Jack Perry's just frequented, you'll be up to your nuts and guts.
Scapegoats.
Scapegoats.
Did you take it in the van?
Pizza guts.
Pulls up outside.
Maybe that's it. Maybe that's not a bus. It's one of them butcher's trucks you get at a car boot sale or a market where he just opens up with a microphone and he's just selling it by the bag.
I got your guts here.
Come and get your guts.
Come and get your guts. You'll be up to your nuts and guts.
New gimmick. Guts boy.
Yeah.
Oh, guts.
Then we got the match. The Elites. Matthew and Nicholas Jackson and Kazuchika Okada versus the Conglomeration, Orange Cassidy, Kyle O'Reilly, and Rocky Romero.
I'll show him. Get some guts. Please don't.
I like the idea of the Bucks not knowing about this and him just, I've got some guts, guys. Why have you done that?
We're going to eat that.
Yeah.
It's waste.
There was a bit on the side, it was probably still all right, but most of it's just ruined. Perfectly good cake.
It's wrestling, though, isn't it? You have to do stuff with cakes, and the cakes can't survive. So wrestling stinks, bro.
No, that smell is intestines.
Yeah, it's guts that you'll smell. Actually, no, cake does smell, as we saw on SmackDown. Oh, God, this cake smells of boo.
Oh, yeah.
It's Chelsea Green.
Smelly cakes. That's like they were starving. They've gone into the deep water, and what have they got available? Oh, smelly cakes.
I hate it.
That's why we're still starving.
I hate wrestling.
And you said the audience was thirsty earlier as well, so
that's right.
We're covering all bases here.
Got to. I'm not being funny. I know we're having fun. We're all having fun, guys, huh? We're all having fun.
Be alone, so have fun.
New Japan's dead. The rest of the Puro industry's pretty dead.
Yeah, it's on dead.
TNA is dead as ever. ROH is just a side quest for the people who can't get on AEW television, and everyone can get on AEW television. The indies are dead. BritRes is pretty dead. Everything's dead. CMLL's doing all right, but Triple A's dead.
You see Tony's interview with CMLL? I need to show you.
That was mid-rant, pal.
Sorry, it's very funny.
A lot of it's dead. Dead. Dead as a doorknob, right? Yeah, basically, it's AEW or WWE, and God knows it's versus, yeah? Because look at the tribalism, which just makes me feel dead. It's all just there. Can we not just try or go back to different ways of telling stories in pro wrestling? Rather than guts and cake, and cakes can't survive. And we're doing main event mafia versus frontline. And just, can we not just come up with some new ideas?
Do you know what I think is a nice
dearth
example?
of ideas.
Remember the first, like, AEW using the judges or the contracts?
Got to destroy the cake in wrestling. Who says?
Yeah.
Luthez? Look, they've got the Cold Gotch come up with this rule.
I thought you were just a poet. You didn't know it there. Who says? Luthez. The rules of wrestling.
Toots Mond. Engraven stone.
You're gonna
the
destroy that
commandment that there must be cakes on television, but guess what? They can't leave intact. Wait, what the
Bruno
gotta be a new way.
Bruno Sammartino sold out Madison Square Garden 20 times in a row, and he destroyed a cake every single night.
That's gotta be a new way. These things just insidiously find themselves in every US promotion that gets televised.
It's probably Jake the Cake Roberts' fault. That's what I reckon.
It's not going to happen now that Jimmy Jacobs is left.
Wrestlers is cakes. There you go, comment section. What's happening? Oh, yeah, Conglomeration versus the Elite. Loads of dives from the Conglomeration take us to a break. There's a triple slingshot sent on and pose, though, from the Elite. When we... Yeah.
To reverse you. Yeah, you would do this one. It's fair.
Wheelie caused disqualification. If we're just going to not bother then. came in the Busaiku knee. I suppose it's all about really what happened afterwards anyway.
Chelsea Bun.
Just talk.
Do you want to do the match or you want to just do the post-match?
We'll do it all together, please.
Okay. I don't know whether to go back and do the match now or not. Do you want me to?
No, God, no.
Okay.
I feel like that when I'm watching it.
I liked it.
Yeah, it was fun until the DQ,
Well,
obviously.
I would argue something else, but we'll do the post-match.
Okay. So the Elite, comes in, Busaiku knee. The Elite just bail.
Batten Goldberg.
Yes! He's doing it!
Analysis. Who says? Get yourself a cake.
Right. Busaiku knee, really DQ. The Elite bail. Mox, Marina Shafir, Claudio, Pac all come in. Pac had a briefcase. They attack the
Briefcake.
Conglomeration. Cassidy's all alone. They swarm on him. Here come Top Flight and Action Andretti to make the save. They obviously get dispatched. I felt bad for him. Oh, that's who's coming to save me, is it? Brilliant. The Elite are still just watching this happen. Oh no, thankfully, who's coming out? The Dark Order. Dark Order run out. But they do ask why the Elite aren't doing anything quite rightly. They got beaten up. Jack Perry takes the Elite to the back. Poor Alex Reynolds gets choked by his belt. Claudio hands it to Marina and she hangs him against the ring post and then chuck the ring steps against him. Mox grabs the mic and says, if you're involved any way, shape or form with All Elite Wrestling, you're under attack. If you don't like it, this is the cost of doing business. They leave through the crowd as Daniel Garcia, Private Party, and Christopher Daniels are out to help everyone who's been taken out.
Quick, Christopher Daniels is in.
Nigel McGuinness says, I don't know.
Cheese it.
Cheese it.
He doesn't support the Elite not doing anything, but he says smarter minds prevailed tonight, and they didn't end up like the others. We'll talk about the Elite in a second with what happened backstage immediately after this. But thoughts on all this, Sid?
Right. I'll out of the shop. To be honest, again, I don't like these big state of the company as a fictionalized entity, people warring for what it stands for. I just want a promotion to be a backdrop to title programs and blood feuds. Every now and then you can maybe invoke it. And if you're careful and subtle about it, it has worked. In AEW previously, this is just not something I feel ever works, will work. And I'm already, deeper in the show, rolling my eyes so far back into my head that I've got a migraine with some of the mascot stuff we're going to get to later. The execution was pretty cool. The new BCC have got real heat. It might just be people quite pissed that they don't get Danielson anymore. People prepared to invest in the storyline, so they're playing along and reacting to it accordingly with the noise that they're making. And in the ring, some of it looks great, right? And I thought, God, when Wheeler Yuta, who I really like, and Claudio, who I really like, were putting the boots in air quotes, it was that kind of stamp on the ground, do a kick. Stamp on the ground, do a kick. It's like they don't feel like they're feral, violent animals destroying people. It was that pro wrestling kick, 2 feet, one on the canvas, one lightly grazing someone's thigh in a safe spot. Didn't feel that chaotic. John Moxley, conversely, stop doing your flips, Action Andretti. Where the did they get you? Bang! In the back of the skull. It was awesome.
It did look great.
It was absolutely awesome. And I'm not being funny. It just felt very deliberate of, you're doing that again. You've been doing it on Rampage to no measurable success.
I'm telling you, this doesn't work.
Do it.
Bang. It's the Smojo walkaway of an actual attack.
Yes, that was awesome. It was so awesome. The reaction to this was awesome. And I'll tell you what, the timing of the attack was really good, because this trios match was pretty fun.
I did want to mention that spot. I've just remembered. I knew there was something I wanted to mention, but where they pumped up the shoes.
That was really good, but I want to talk about something else. There wasn't that white knuckle, I'm losing my mind at the twists, but it was fun, inventive, and it was really starting to maybe approach that boom, Wheeler Yuta has ruined it. I think the timing was sensational of, you've ruined this now, because it was just getting good. Kazuchika Okada doing if you haven't seen it right, I'm going to try and do this visually and in terms of the audio of how funny this was. So they're doing that spot that usually leads to a bulldog where someone's on their back, Orange Cassidy in this instant, trying to get some Okada off the vertical base to do some kind of pinfall, and the person who's about to get toppled over is doing the wacky arms. Okada is going, so he's pretending to do the whole, like, I'm about to fall down bit, and then just giving him the finger. I was howling with laughter. It is so difficult for wrestling to make me do anything though. Yeah, good development. Oh, really good match. If I'm actually gesticulating and making noise alone in my living room, I love Okada so much. He enchants me. He amuses me. He delights me. He pops me every single goddamn time. I love him so much.
The best of the BCC angle was here. Like, the best of it was here in terms of the physical execution of the stuff they were actually doing to people at the timing of the attack. How it was the closest any of this felt to being an actual transgression, which is supposed to underpin all of this, and realistically it won't. The doors are flung wide open, and they're in welcome to it every single week. They were out there trying to create stuff that was going to stick with you, stuff you think about. Marina Shafir in particular. I felt like certain spots you are watching at the moment, like John Moxley as a character is in charge of this. In real life, feels like he is a showrunner or a director, blocking this out mentally. And we know he's good at this. You stand there, you be there, you do this. Like, there's a shoot element to this, which is at the moment to the benefit of his colleagues within the BCC, but it's probably helping the people that are beating up as well, which is he wants this to look a certain way, and he can visualize it and make it so. And this was the best. All of this was the best example of it.
We go backstage with the Elite, and they're asked why they didn't do anything. Daniel Garcia and Private Party storming in and say, yeah, why no actions from the EVPs? Garcia gets right into it with Jack Perry. And Nicholas says in due time as the Elite leave. Garcia says he's got Private Party's backs if they've got his, and they hug it out.
I like the continued link between the new BCC and the Elite. It's not the first time it's happened. I must have a shout out or give rather a shout out to.
It's like a different kind of where is my respect. I must have a shout out.
I must give a shout out to. I should have prepared my notes. My notes a bit earlier. I'm filibustering by doing the Melter voice. My notes. Wait there. And it's like,
Steve Meltzer says, "Where's my respect?"
like,
tweeted by the NXT ratings, by the way.
No. Get him.
Yeah,
Like
exactly.
when Meltzer
I said it was going to be like this.
Yeah.
No
Oh,
apologies.
professional. @_dead_at_last. At M. Sedgwick, listen to your Dynamite preview, and I can't believe you missed that the only person Mox has praised is Perry, because he is the one who's progressed and changed to get to a new level. They are doing the old steel, sharp and steel story. I knew the last bit, but the first bit was like, that is a good shout. It kind of falls apart because he's not, he's not over and he's not done much in the role, but you are meant to see him in the way that Mox was like, you know what, good on you. You've stopped dancing around like a dick to Baltimore. You started taking it seriously. You've found a dark side or a ruthless streak, and you've gone on, you've evolved, you've won gold, and you're a little prick, and you've got results. Yeah. Well done, pal. So that was a really good take. I just wanted to highlight.
Right. Now we get to Shelton Benjamin's in-ring debut. Yes!
Oh my God.
Who the hell was that guy? Like, nothing against Shelton Benjamin.
Shelton.
All that. But, like, he looks like a different person out there.
It's like a total colossus.
Genius move putting him against Lio Rush.
Tony Khan is an amazing matchmaker.
He just looked gigantic here. Size versus speed. Please, I'm going to say Rush here because I'm going to read it in my notes and my brain's going to tell me it's the other one. But Lio Rush tried using a misdirect, but Benjamin just nails him with a tackle. Rush fights back with speed, sends Benjamin to the floor, tries a dive, and he just gets kneed in the face. And then Shelton Benjamin throws him with an overhead. As we go to break, we come back. We see they say, oh, by the way, during the break, he was getting killed. But Benjamin gets sent outside. Lio Rush hits multiple dives. He flips out of a T-bone, hits a spinning DDT on Shelton Benjamin, gets a 2, but takes too long going up top, and Shelton Benjamin catches him up there, hits a huge superplex.
Oh my God.
Crowd are loving it as well. Release German sends Lio Rush all the way across the ring. There's a super kick in there, a pop-up flatliner, and an exploded T-blown suplex.
T-blown.
Gets the 1, 2, 3.
Was great, actually.
He does get the business card from MVP post-match, and MVP says Lio Rush opened his mouth, so Benjamin made a point to close it. He can't make a better statement than what he just did, but we know Swerve Strickland's watching. You need to reconsider your position. This is your future. Let's finish what we started at Wrestle Dream.
This was so goddamn awesome. So much so, I would describe this as the feeling in a match.
Yes.
I don't have the feeling surrounding the company. This was the feeling in a match, this idea of, oh, someone coming in from WWE. Oh, hang on, he's 100 times better than he ever was. Oh, that's what he feels like in the moment. I love the idea. I love the premise before we get to the execution. The premise, maybe they tried it with Jack Perry joining the Elite, but obviously it hasn't worked. When the news first broke that the Hurt Business, or rather the Hurt Syndicate, as has been trademarked, I believe, are coming to AEW, you thought, right, okay, well, we'll see. I mean, they're amazing already. But Benjamin's coming in. All right, okay, well, in tags and trios matches, Benjamin's going to eat those pins, and Benjamin's going to be the telly opponent for Lashley's rival for the Pape, and that's how it's going to go. Establishing him as a total killer in his own right was an absolutely incredible, well overdue idea, and his performance could not have done more to match a really great idea for the presentation. This was the feeling. This is a guy coming in from WWE, and yes, obviously this is not as good as the Michaels match or whatever. It's just this really cool feeling of recency bias that is driving my take here. He looked like a complete monster in terms of like figuratively and literally. I know you can't wrestle Lio Rush every week, and Lio Rush has the obvious advantage of being able to fly around that ring, bump like crazy for someone's suplexes. It was more than just great matchmaking. It was so far from a carry job. It was just this perfect balance. I'll credit both performers and MVP as well. He's just the best. Equally for what was a total and utter triumph. I'm like buying the t-shirt and listening to the theme on Spotify. That's how in love I am with this act immediately. And again, I just want to put over, it wasn't just the suplexes that are always going to look good when someone bums for them. Shelton Benjamin's got the best working punch this side of Jeff Jarrett. He looked awesome. He looked aggressive. It was the way he carried himself, and it wasn't just the moves. This was just a total masterstroke of booking and performance. And oh my God, that thrust kick, I felt like his jaw had been broken. You know when you just like watch it, you wince yourself. Oh, that was the noise I made during this. Oh, and it just felt like, oh Christ, he's hit him too far in the face. Then no, it's just wonderful work. I cannot scarcely believe I feel this much about Shelton Benjamin. And you know what? It will go the way I thought at some point. Maybe even as soon as a fortnight from now or a fortnight from yesterday, Swerve will probably beat Shelton, or Shelton will beat him with the debuting Bobby Lashley's help, and then Swerve will get the win back. And then subsequent to all of this, I don't think I'll ever forget how good the Shelton Benjamin match was. The next time he eats the pins to set up whatever Lashley's doing. So overdue to establish someone in a stable as a killer in their own right, and not just, we'll have a member of the stable or the trio who eats the losses. This is an absolute masterstroke of the feeling of matchmaking, of, well, WWE must suck because look what AEW have done with this wrestler. I've missed that.
Yeah.
I've missed that so much.
Yeah, echo all of that. Just a brilliant night for what is increasingly becoming the hottest and most effective thing in AEW.
Sorry, Mox.
Yeah, and they needed a rollout through a match as well, and you got it. It's funny, darkly amusing, I guess, that potentially if this is the Shelton Benjamin match we remember in 6 months when he is sort of doing jobs as part of a cycle of a trio tag team, it can basically continues the story of Shelton Benjamin's career. Come on, insert wrestling company. Why are you not pushing Shelton? We all remember the match against insert the one match you remember. That could be the Shelton loop, but as of right now and in the context it belongs in, which is talking about MVP and talking about Bobby Lashley and talking about Shelton Benjamin and Lio Rush, actually.
Yes.
Couldn't have gone better. Magic.
MVP was correct when he said everything about the Hurt Business.
Yeah.
We cut backstage to Swerve and Prince Nana.
Look at us now. Who would have thought it?
No.
Not me.
Not me.
Strickland said, yeah, it was impressive what Benjamin just did to Lio, but he accepts the challenge. Anywhere, make it happen. Don't fail when you come at me, though, Shelton. Whose house? Swerve's house. And later on, we find out, that's going down on Friday Night Dynamite. It's all good shows.
Is you right for going on holiday in spooky season?
Right. Don Callis has a press conference next. He's there with Lance Archer and ROH TV champion Brian Cage. Says there's no real journalists in wrestling. So he's going to answer all the questions about his family himself. He talks about acquiring Lance Archer, wanting to take the tag titles.
Where did Brian Cage come from?
What are you doing?
Have I missed the Ring of Honor taping or something?
I don't know.
I think he's been part of it. I can never remember.
Callis will put himself on screen with a guy once. So
I will
he can
say,
trade them if he ever needs it.
In the Like a Dragon street fight, didn't Brian Cage just deputise for someone who was on the Callis team? He was in that match.
Yeah.
But he brings out everyone, the two people who we want to see. He says everyone's been talking about the new international champion, Konosuke Takeshita, and Cole Fletcher. Callis says the Alpha and himself are going to take this title to every corner of the globe and defend it. Takeshita says, if you want it, come take it. Fletcher says all he's heard is why, Kyle, why? That's the problem. Everyone wants to talk Will Ospreay when Don Callis' family is having its biggest night in its history. He won't say why he did what he did. It's too bad.
Too bad.
Family's never been stronger than today.
Here's the thing. In isolation, didn't hate this. I like the idea that they've finally abandoned this thing of Don Callis is managing baby faces. I mean, it's Don Callis, dickhead. How thick are you to think that he's got your best interests in mind or he's going to be a positive influence on your life and then he'll let you do things the right way. He's Don Callis. All you have to do is watch the program, listen to the commentators. Not even study his history if you're too lazy to do that, but just watch the program, listen to the commentators, and talk about how he's like, a boil on the ass of life. You know what I mean? He's so obviously this odious, like, evil dude. The idea that...
When he was fat, such a
he might be...
Rasta
No, Don's okay, though. Don's okay, man. All right with me. Shut up. He's finally just leading a stable of heels, which I think is long overdue. This idea of Jericho and Ospreay having conflicted relations. It's a little waffle. Terrible. It's all over. He's just a dickhead with a gang of dickheads. The problem is that there are two gangs of dickheads who are much better than this one so far. And what's Brian Cage doing here? You know what I mean? Yeah. Like, it's just, this is exactly what I speak of when I speak of, I mean, yes, you can have more than one stable, okay? But it's going to be redundant after a while when there's too many, and there are too many. And this was just, we've got the Hurt Syndicate at home, and it's the Don Callis family. It's too many promotions in one promotion.
Yeah, there was a nice...
especially when sorry, I know I've done this too often. I'm sorry. Yeah, they've got a title, but does it need to exist?
Aye. It doesn't mean anything unless Takeshi can mean something with it. The aesthetic was good. I remember look, we loved him for a number of reasons, but I remember Trench. How trenchy. And it was like...
Yeah, that's right.
Just a scary-looking guy. And there was this initial thought of like, wow, where have you found them? I'm really intimidated around them. I think in an effort to distinguish these gang of baddies versus the other gangs of baddies in AEW, they've tried to make it just look like slime ball assholes, and that's what Don Callis has got. I think you're right. It's like this idea of whatever the Don Callis family was massively overthought. They're just bastards. Yeah. Horrible bastards. And maybe that's how they fit in this AEW overflowing with different kinds of bastards at the moment.
Renee's backstage with AEW Women's Champion Mariah May, who's upset about everyone drooling over Willow Nightingale at Wrestle Dream, and why the woman she killed is on magazine covers. Tony Storm, obviously. She's still not got a celebration with Mina Shirakawa. Britt Baker faked an injury. Thunder Rosa's out. Who's going to step up? What is Christopher Daniels even doing? May says AEW isn't where the best wrestle, it's where they're afraid of the glamour. And then Anna Jay storms in and they get into a row. Christopher Daniels steps in. Anna Jay accidentally slaps him. May bails. Jay apologizes to Daniels. And I think we get a title eliminator at Battle of the Belts off the back of this.
Well, if I do the old math, calc, and trig, that would lead me to believe that Anna Jay will next appear after she's inevitably beaten January 14th, we'll say. No. Maybe mid-December we'll go. Mid-December, that'll be the next time you see her. And therefore, it's impossible to care. It's no reflection on her. No, but it will be impossible to care because this is what they do.
Yeah. Ricochet's also backstage. Has asked if he was too focused on Will Ospreay and his triple threat at Wrestle Dream. Ricochet said no, but he's never been hit as hard as he was by Takeshita. But Ospreay got pinned, not him. He hasn't been beaten since he came to AEW. To be the best in the world, you don't need lackeys behind you. He challenges Takeshita to show up on Collision and prove why he's out of this world.
Yeah, I don't really care much about Ricochet. I had a point to make in connection with the three new and improved 3 heel stables. I told you we are entering a new sicko cycle of Tony Khan deciding to listen to the more hipster media or like the really sort of in the weeds media. And I listened to the flagship. Voices of Wrestling were complaining, rightfully in my opinion, that there was not enough hate and heat in AEW about 3 or 4 months ago. Three main event heel stables. There you go.
Hate is great.
Hate's great. Yeah, honestly, you could lay out a trail of sweets into a gingerbread house and Tony Khan would walk into it.
We cut backstage and the BCC...
Nothing?
The BCC...
Sweet, great. Sweet, great. Sweet, great. It's a whole house of sweets, great.
Funny. Like, hey, here it is.
The BCC are beating up the Dark Order, Top Flight, Action Andretti, and they bail in the pickup truck. Evil Uno yells down the camera that Dark Order's been there since day one. It doesn't matter when or where. If BCC wants to fight, they'll give it to them. And Top Flight say, can we have a title shot? Basically.
May I? Earlier on in this show, my esteemed colleague made the very fair and correct point that you cannot just ask for a title shot, Young Bucks. Well, apparently you can, because you can get a trios one, and it makes Evil Uno stupider in the same segment for saying, we'll fight you anywhere, any place. Top Flight heard that. They're like, well, how about this time, this place, and for your prizes? It's bullshit, pal.
It is. It is.
I picked on WWE for doing this with that Jakara Jackson Lash Legend. Like, they've been setting up Damage Guitar against Jade and Bianca, and then, like, they rock up in NXT 1 week, and they're like, title match, SmackDown? You got it. And then, like, SmackDown GM that same week. I can't just hand out title shots to anybody. You did. Like, I know wrestling just does this. Don't just do it.
Medium stinks.
Luther says title shots need to be earned. Title shots.
Luther says.
Title shots need to be earned. But especially don't just give them away when another character who's been down since day one-ish in AEW says, well, we'll fight you anywhere. Like, he was in the back at Wembley, and he was going to be next in the gauntlet. And, oh, God, Christian Cage took my place. Like, Evil Uno, thickest wrestler ever. Like, is that the character? Because it's not very hard to beat up if you're in the BCC. It's dumb.
He's in the first line of people who are going to get their asses kicked, and he's thick. Can't wait for him to stand up for the soul of AEW. It's going to be wonderful.
This is what I was talking about when I said this current version of AEW isn't showing me that it can necessarily support this bigger story.
When I expressed my reservations about this entire direction, and it's going to be, if you don't like this, you don't like the program. That's how much it's going to matter, and yet it doesn't matter enough in that weird AEW way. Top Flight, these utter loser mascots just talking about what do people like in AEW. Mark's like, let's talk about AEW, the promotion. It's just, they've got no agency. They've got no character of their own. They just feel like vessels for Tony Khan to speak through about how to be AEW is to be constantly under attack. And we're a force for good, actually, and what we're fighting for. And I just hate it so much. Be a backdrop to grudge feuds and title programs. And when people on the march for titles, something terrible happens for them, they must enact their bloody vengeance. That's what pro wrestling is.
Main event time. Jay White versus Christian Cage.
Oh, no.
Friendship ended with Jay White. Shelton Benjamin is my new best friend.
1 step forward and 12 steps back.
Jay White. I mean, this is just poor. This is so boring.
A bad match with some shocking production of pro wrestling on television in 2024. Like, well, we'll get to it.
So Cage immediately takes a powder to put his head together with Nick Wayne and Nick Wayne's mom, who's got it going on.
Ooh, me, a mother.
Nick Wayne at one point tries to slide in a chair, but
taking a powder, you're going to have enough to bake a cake.
Juice and Colton take it away. Ref says, "What are you doing with the chair? Get out of here, you!" And they're like, "Oh, I can't believe it." And then they just take Nick Wayne with them, drag him, kicking and screaming to the back. And Nick Wayne's mom, got it going on, chases them.
Patriarchy. I like this group of heels. I think I might go for this.
I did like the bit where Jay White pulls his shirt over his head and beats him up in the corner. But Cage comes back. Tornado DDT back inside. Signals for the spear. Kip Sabian appears. Runs distraction. Sorry, I've seen his face. Runs distraction.
Go away, mate.
Christian Cage. Not yet. Everyone's seen you.
This is, I'm not being funny,
I've seen everything.
This is why you don't book someone who's not good enough at this level. This is what I mean. This is...
Not yet, mate.
That's what he's doing. Watch the footage back. Christian, spear. And get down. You're already on telly. You gotta...
This is why you don't persist with someone who can't get over to this level.
Yeah. People are watching. Down. But obviously, chain of events, it's like Tony Khan. What's Kazarian? I'm like, go. I'm a bit. Where's Kazarian gone? I thought Bang gone. No, a decent improvisation from Hangman Page to look like he was meant to be lying on the floor hiding. Like,
I'm doing the Christian Cage.
Yeah.
But that was so good that you question it.
He gets on the ring. Where's Kazarian gone? Well, he wasn't supposed to be here. Okay.
The match continues anyway.
The pouring continued. It continued to be nothing.
Cage, where are we? Cage fought off a superplex.
You sound like all four wrestlers.
Top rope headbutt gets to Kip Sabian to distraction. Jay White tries for the Blade Runner, but Paige flies in with a buckshot. Cage gets the 1, 2, 3, and Paige lays there with mad eyes on the floor, looking great as this show goes off the air.
My God, this was such an unbelievable failure and disappointment.
Before the botch.
Before that.
This as a
oh my God, I was so excited about this. I thought we were going to have some craft, some a duel of bastards, using a game of dickhead chess.
2 heel breads.
Yeah. And it was just, oh my God, so formless, so flat and boring. Like one of those matches that just feels like you're watching it and it's taken 2 hours. And you go on your little fight feed, your little Triller, and you go, right, 12 minutes. And it's been 84 years. And then you look at your fight feed and it's got 11 minutes left or whatever.
Hey, that's why Kip Sabian missed this one. It must be time for me to go out now.
Go on.
I need to watch this back now to properly.
He looks in. It's not his fault. It's not Christian's fault.
Yeah.
But
the thing is as well, it's this is why you cannot. When they're making blunders like this and the booking's not that great, and it's a bit uninspired to go back to Hangman Page and Jay White to begin with, when you're already basically saying, we're going to run loads back from Wrestle Dream, which is a problem again of the increased frequency of pay-per-views, and there's so many other problems with AEW that when they're now saying, come on, rally behind us as we fight for the soul of AEW. It's just be good for a year first, then I might start caring about this sort of storyline. You cannot tell the storyline when people are losing faith in the process and then ask them to have even more faith in the process than ever. It's another flaw with this thing that never, if rarely, if ever, has worked.
It's
or worked once and just never going to work again.
Just on the ending, and it's a bit of a mess. Sid just pointed out correctly that WWE's been blooper city this year. Bloopers are happening. Bloopers are happening in companies where these kind of bloopers, ultimately production and agenting bloopers shouldn't be going on. Botchamania has existed forever for this sort of thing. Of course, it just happens, right? But there's certain tones to certain kinds of botches, isn't there? And this was just funny. Whatever they were fighting for and losing with this match was lost the second Kip Sabian's on that apron 4 hours early for work. And then again, it cuts to Hangman Page, who gets on the apron to do the buckshot that he would then do 5 minutes later, and he kind of gets off. And then at this point, production's going nuts in the truck. So it cuts to Kip Sabian, who's getting back in his seat. And then you're just looking at Kip Sabian sitting down in the crowd. There's a whole ass match going on, and Hangman Page lying on the floor. It's a funny one. Yeah. It's not just, they all look like ass. It's not like the Rhea and Liv and Raquel one was just a mess.
Yeah.
Ugh. This was kind of a comedy of errors, the very meaning of the phrase.
Yeah.
So you kind of got to laugh at it, but when it's undermining a match that has kind of already gone a bit wrong, it's just not a great way to end the show, guys. John Moxley is right. Kill these guys. Kill them all. And then go into the truck and kill them too.
Yeah. Well, they should have been killed a long time ago.
Well, let us know your thoughts on AEW Dynamite in the comment section below or on X at WhatCulture WWE. You actually can follow all three of us. You can follow Michael Hamflett at
Michael Hamflett.
Follow Michael Sidgwick
M. Sidgwick.
Follow me at Adam Wilborn. Follow our brilliant producer at It's Adam Nichols. Follow us all at WhatCulture WWE, as I said. Make sure you subscribe to WhatCulture Wrestling, wherever you get your podcast from, for daily wrestling podcasts. But for now, it's been the Dynamite Review. My thanks to Hamflett Sidgwick. Thank you for joining us, and we will see you soon.